Welcome students. Today we are going to learn the concluding part of the chapter biodiversity and its conservation. So we are going to go for a few of these very important definitions. One is hotspots. So the concept of hotspot was first developed by a scientist named Norman Maier in the year of 1988. He was trying to develop this concept to identify the mega diversity zones on the basis of the species richness. That is, he was trying to find out the number of endemic species, that is the species which have been available in a particular area only, that may be plants or animals, and the degree of habitat loss, that is threat to the species. So two things he was verifying: what is the richness of this endemic species and what is the degree of threat to the species in terms of habitat loss. So depending on this two, he had developed the concept of hotspots. So we can define it as the richest reservoirs of wildlife that are under threat and need immediate attention for their conservation. So what are the hotspots? They are the richest reservoirs of the wildlife. That is, these are the areas or the spatial rich areas where more type of plants and animals have been available, but this wildlife are under threat. So gradually their number is reducing due to some reasons, and hence they need immediate attention for their conservation. So there are about 34 number of hotspots have been recognized all over the world, and if we are going to consider the examples of these hotspots which have been found in the India, it includes the Western Ghats, Sri Lanka, Indo-Burma and the Himalayan regions. Next comes the next short question that we are going to deal with is your Red Data Book. So it is a documentation which is maintained by WCU, that is your World Conservation Union, and it includes the enlisting of numbers of plants and animal species in different threat categories like extinct, threatened, endangered, vulnerable and rare. What does it mean? Red Data Book is a particular document which is maintained by WCU, and it includes many number of plants and animals, and it specially includes those plants and animals of different threat categories. So depending on the number of these plants and animals, they have been categorized as extinct, threatened, endangered, vulnerable and rare type of species, and everything has been documented. So why this Red Data Book is needed and what is the objective of making this Red Data Book is identification and documentation of endangered species. So the organisms which have been endangered, they have been identified and then they have been documented. That is, the list of these organisms has been made to provide a global index of this decline of biodiversity. So it's going to produce a global index which represents the decline of this biodiversity. It creates the awareness about this importance of threatened biodiversity. So it's going to create awareness among everybody for this importance of this threatened biodiversity. It guides the conservation action, and it also provides the information about the international agreements such as Convention on Biological Diversity and CITES, that is Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. So it also provides sufficient information on these international agreements which have been signed. So according to WCU, it has identified 7 threat species, or whatever threat species have been there. They have been categorized into the following 7 categories. One is extinct, extinct and wild, threatened, critically endangered, vulnerable and rare species. So these are the threatened categories that the Red Data Book is maintaining. Next comes, we are going to go for a 2 marks question which is called as your Ramsar sites. So basically this is related to the conservation of this aquatic bodies, or you can say water bodies. Why we are going to call it as Ramsar sites is the signing of this convention on wetland took place in the year of 1971 in a small Iranian town of Ramsar. So basically the convention was been signed in a particular place of Iran whose name was Ramsar. So according to the place name, this convention on wetlands has been known as the Ramsar Convention. So whatever wetlands have been there, whatever water bodies or aquatic bodies or the underground wetland bodies have been there, if you are going to talk about their conservation conventions, that is called as the Ramsar Conventions. So what are the wetlands? Wetlands may include the swamps, the marshes, the lakes, mangroves, coral reefs, all type of water bodies, and the underground wetlands also. So the Ramsar Convention encourages the designation of sites containing wetlands that are important for conserving biological diversity. So basically the Ramsar Convention encourages the designation of sites. So it basically finds out the spatial areas of this wetlands. If those wetlands have been protected, then we can conserve lots of biodiversity. So these are considered to be of international importance because of their ecological, botanical. This Ramsar sites or these wetlands are considered to be very important internationally because they do have ecological, botanical, geological, limnological and hydrological importance. So basically ecological, these terms ecological, botanical and geological terms already Limnological means basically here it is a branch of science which deals with the study of this physical, chemical and biological features of the lakes, so and the hydrological importance. So this particular wetlands are going to have the following importance. So they are internationally very important. Once designated, once they have been identified, then these sites are added to the conventions list. So once they have been designated or identified, they will be added to the list of this conventions list of wetlands of international importance, and then they have been called as the Ramsar sites. In designating a wetland as a Ramsar site, if the country is going to sign this convention, then the country agrees to establish and oversee a management framework aimed at conserving the wetland and maintaining the ecological characters of a wetland. What does it mean? So what is Ramsar Convention? It's finding out or designating a particular wetland which has great importance and which has more economical importance to this internationally. So once it has been identified, wherever it is, whichever country it is present in, that country is going to sign this Ramsar Site Convention, and that agrees to take care of those Ramsar sites, is going to maintain the framework and conserves the wetlands, and it also maintains its ecological characters. So according to this Ramsar Site Convention in 2016, around 2231 Ramsar sites have been identified, which is protecting around a area of a bigger area of some this hectares, and it includes around 169 national government national governments are participating in it. That means in Ramsar sites around 169 national governments, that is national governments are participating, and it includes around 2231 Ramsar sites, which includes many types of wetlands. If you are going to take examples from India, it includes Rudrasagar Lake of Tripura, Sambar Lake of Rajasthan, and we do have many more examples. You can cite any one of these examples of your choice. The last part is the place, year and main agenda of historic conventions on biological diversity. So we are going to learn about the summits, that is your historic conventions which has taken place, the place and the year and the agendas of each type of these conventions we are going to learn about. So first is called as the Earth Summit. So it was held in 1992 at Rio de Janeiro in the of Brazil. It was a serious international effort to conserve the biodiversity. So it resulted into the Convention on the Biodiversity, which came into force on 29th December 1993. So it was having some objectives or some three main aims were in there. So it was including the conservation of biological diversity, sustainable use of biodiversity, and fair and equitable sharing of benefits arising out of utilization of genetic resources. What does it mean? Conservation of biodiversity. So this Earth Summit was aiming at conserving the biodiversity. Sustainable use of biodiversity. So economical or limited use of the biodiversity was included as one of these objectives. And the third one is fair and equitable sharing of these benefits. That means whatever genetic resources we have, we are going to make use of them, and whatever informations or whatever benefits we are going to get, that should be equally or fairly shared with other countries or other members also. The World Conservation Union and World Wildlife Fund, that is your WWF and WCU, supports the projects worldwide to promote the conservation and appreciates appropriate development of biosphere reserves. So basically this WCU and WWF are working on it to develop this biosphere reserves by following this particular objectives. And the next type of summit is your World Summit. It is on sustainable development, and it was held in 2002 in Johannesburg of South Africa. In this summit, the world leaders developed a common plan of action to work for economic development, social development, and most notably the environmental protection at the local, national and regional and global levels. So here basically the world leaders, they have prepared a common plan of action which works on economic development, social development and environmental protection. So we are going to we are going to protect the environment of global levels, regional levels, national levels, even the local levels. So at all different levels we are going to protect the environment. Besides that, we are going to help its social and economic development. So this is all about the whole chapter of biodiversity. Hope you understand. If any doubts, you can give the questions or queries in the comment box. Thank you.